So today's episode, we're talking about unlearning the things that no longer serves us and the power that it can hold us back or propel us forward. And as always, y'all, let's get into it. There are certain values that you've been taught from as a child that could benefit you as an adult. I know that there's kind of like this wave of information of, cut off your parents and you could generational breakers. I've even spoken about it myself. But one of the things I've learned recently on my journey is how you can unlearn what you've been taught. And I think I've been doing it for quite some time, breaking the mold of being conditioned to think one way and not allowing myself to be open. I've been doing this for many years, just not really quite realizing that I have. But the more that I dive into unlearning things that don't really serve me anymore, and this is actually going back to like just reflection, allowing yourself to constantly reflect on what serves you, what doesn't serve you, and what you want to get rid of. Because believe it or not, we're allowed to have new. We're allowed to have a new perspective in life. We're allowed to, switch up our mindset sometimes and shift it. We're allowed to embrace new opportunities that maybe before our parents or our elders prior would have said that's a really, it's unorthodox, it's weird, whatever the kind. Who cares? We're allowed to embrace that stuff in this day and age because that was their time. This is our time. So when it comes towards unlearning the things that don't serve you, is first of all, pause. You can allow yourself to pause and reflect. Ask yourself where you are right now. What is it that is serving you? It's kind of, I call it the corner room effect, where you kind of just take a second, you sit in the corner of your life and you just take a view, like a panoramic view. And then you start saying, hey, yo, you know what? I don't like that, but that's cool. All right, I'm still using that. You know what? That I could kind of switch up and get something new. Yo, we're allowed to do that. It's just taking a step back and reevaluating and saying to ourselves like, hey, yo, this is not really functioning the way that I would hope it would. This is not really giving me what I needed to give anymore. And I'm in a different space of my life where I don't really need this anymore. There's nothing wrong with allowing yourself for new. I'm going to say that again. There's nothing wrong with allowing yourself for new. You're allowed to make room and space for new. Like, I'll give you an example. The other day, I bought a brand new pot set. Shout out to Costco, for real. Shout out for Costco. I bought a brand new pot set. The pot set I had before was about 4 years old. I'm not sure if you're aware. Now they say if you scratch the bottom of these particular types of pots, you should swap them out because they're, they can make you sick. So I said, bet. These pots are about 4 years old. I'll go and buy a new pot. No problem. So I go buy a new set and I'm telling my mom's like, hey, like, what are you up to? And I'm like, hey, I'm just, I'm washing and taking care of my new pot set. She's like, oh, I don't have to do that with my pots. Cause yeah, I was like, yeah, you have like cast iron pots or whatever. But at the same time, I really thought, I'm like, Mama, you could have bought yourself a new pot set too. Not saying that she didn't. But she always, if she needed to get rid of stuff, my mom was good with the Persian situation. But at the same time, I was just like, Mom, you're allowed to have new. You're allowed to have new. And she's like, oh, I know. And I'm like, okay. But I really thought about it because it took me a second to realize we don't got to keep everything that's old. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you remember when you first moved to someone's, like, your own apartment? Sometimes people would just be giving you shit. Like, here, take this, here, take that. Like, because they're trying to purge and get rid of. And they're like, well, you're the best person to have it. So here you go. But pause, you could use their stuff, but you're allowed to replace that stuff at some time. That's why I say use a panoramic view of your life. You're allowed to get rid of things that no longer serve you or no longer fit in your circle because you've grown, you evolved, you moved. That's okay. And you're allowed to allow new to come in. You're allowed to unlearn the things that don't serve you. You're allowed to realize that maybe this right here is not what I want to carry further. Furthermore, if you're like even becoming a parent and the first thing you're saying is like, these are things I don't want my kids to go through. Hey, yo, get rid of that stuff before that happens if you can. Like, oh, hey, yo, I want to get in a healthy relationship. Gotcha. Get rid of that stuff. Work on that stuff to remove it and really heal from that stuff before you get in a relationship. I just want to make this one comment before I forget. Many of us, when it comes to words unlearning, it also comes with healing. And the last thing that you want to do is bleed on people that are literally whole. Right? So if they already did their panoramic view, they take care of themselves, they self-reflect and all of that. The last thing you want to do is be around more energy who is taking care of themselves and you're in the midst of not quite there because you're not taking care of yourself. One more thing before I add this on. You are allowed to pause, not seclude. I would never suggest you seclude and like go in isolation, but you're allowed to pause and take space for you. That is also part of unlearning. I think one of the things that I had to honestly realize to unlearn is that rest and taking care of me is not, it's a necessity. I need to do it. If I don't, I feel so burnt out, worn down, unhappy. But when I do take care of myself, I'm energized. I'm making podcasts for the people. I'm coaching amazing souls to live and love their dope life with ease to self-improvement and personal development. There is such a power in when you put yourself first. And part of that is the unlearning factor to it. Unlearning the things that like just don't fit in your circle no more. And there's nothing wrong with letting go of the stuff that you thought you would be holding on for dear life for the rest of your life. But I also want to really touch base on this. There are some things in our life that it's okay, the values, it's cool to hold it. There's certain values that my parents and my grandparents, my ancestors has bestowed in me, and I will never let go of that because it makes up of who I am. And there's such greatness. Because, when we think about the past, we automatically think about the bad things. But there's so much good that we just kind of like step over and we don't pay attention to. Even that's part of unlearning. Unlearning your brain to like rewiring your brain to say like, hey, yo, I can think about the good things, the good times, the good memories. I don't got to just completely think about the negative half of things. That also has to do with mind shift, right? But it's also unlearning that that's okay to sometimes say to myself, man, I remember that memory. That was really dope. Versus just not even thinking about your past at all. That could be something unlearning. The point is, be open to unlearning the things that don't serve you so that you can move forward. Be open to the things that are not fitting in your panoramic view anymore. It's okay. Like, we would send things to the donation box any other time. We can send stuff to the garbage if we need to when it comes towards our life. We don't need to hold on to everything that doesn't serve us, and we don't need to hold on to everything that we think we need to carry going forward. And it's unlearning to allow yourself to be free. At some point, it's your responsibility to unlearn the things that don't fit in your circle, that don't fit in your life, that don't fit in the things that you want to move forward with. It's your responsibility. We can sit here and we can hold the blame to our parents as much as we want, but they're living. It's our responsibility to take care of ourselves. It's our responsibility to unlearn the things that don't serve us. It's our responsibility to unlearn the things that don't fit in our panoramic view. So I hope y'all enjoyed today's episode. As always, go ahead, screenshot this episode, place in your IG, your TikTok, your YouTube stories. Greatly appreciated. Send it to your friends and family too. Also, let's have a conversation about it. Why not? As always, I will be seeing you next week. Walk with peace. Walk with love.